the issue of mass incarceration and disparate incarceration in Wisconsin is one of the most important justice issues in our state, and one of the important roles of the State Bar of Wisconsin. And one of our responsibilities is to assist our courts in the administration of justice. And I thought it was very important to try to get stakeholders from throughout our bar, throughout the practice and profession of law together.
Around the country, we're seeing lots of states re-examining their sentencing and their correctional practices and making changes at all stages of the criminal justice system with an eye toward improving public safety, reducing reoffense, and ideally helping individuals who've been convicted reintegrate more successfully into their communities so we can stop cycles of crime.
In Wisconsin, we have had vastly disproportionate incarceration of African Americans for decades. And by that I mean that African Americans have been present in our prison population at a rate that is much higher than their proportion of the general population. The most recent data has African Americans at about 40% of the state prison population, but about 6 or 7% of the general population.
Over the last 20 to 30 years, we've seen maximum penalties get longer and longer without any change in the underlying behavior or the nature of the people committing the crimes themselves.
Our goal is always to seek justice, and we have to recognize that sometimes that is not being accomplished based on bias, based on practices that have been done, where you hear individuals say, we've always done it that way. That's always a concern to me.
There are a lot of assumptions that get made about litigants that are before us, just in terms of how they present themselves and how they come to court.
For most of us, the thought of spending a year behind bars is a significant, substantial deprivation. We'd miss our families, we'd lose our jobs, we might lose our housing. We'd feel punished at a pretty deep level. And yet, in common conversation, people treat a one-year sentence like a slap on the wrist.
Just asking certain questions allows you to at least broach those areas that you may have assumptions about, but not really sure why you hold those views.
This disproportionate representation existed long before current sentencing policies existed, long before truth in sentencing, long before 3 strikes and you're out, long before the war on drugs. This historical perspective suggests that the problem of racial disparities is very deeply rooted in the criminal justice system.
It's hard to get people to converse about something if they don't see it, if they don't understand it, and they're unaware. And so it's just educating yourself and then beginning the conversation.
We've been looking at every decision point of the criminal justice system and how can you reduce harm, increase community safety at each of those decision points, and from today's point of view, how can the State Bar help us with that?
We can take the ideas, not just the ones that we got today, but the ideas that the participants have about what can be done to address this issue, and keep them on the front burner and keep them moving forward, and see if there are things that lawyers can do and judges can do in the system to help change things in a positive way.